Here. It's Christine right over there. Uh, and we're tuning in for a little spontaneous live stream. I'm just going to wait for a few people to jump on here and share some important thoughts that have come up over the past days because we've received so many of your emails and messages and comments. I want to say about something about that too. Just waiting for a few people to come on here. Also, while this is happening, we're back at home base. So, for the most part, we're going to resume a more regular schedule of live streams. Although we will be traveling a little bit more, doing interviews with amazing people. As we've said, this year is going to be really cool in terms of what's happening, who we're going to have on here, what we're going to learn, so many important things. So this is going to happen. But yeah, people are jumping on. Good to see you guys. Hey there. So we're going to, of course, talk about what's going on in Canada, the broader picture, and address a little bit the questions that have come up. But first, let me tell you one thing. Christine and I are so grateful for your emails, your comments, your beautiful messages, and we have decided a long time ago when the number exceeded, the possibility for us to respond to every comment genuinely, and I don't want to just auto respond and say thank you. So I want to take this opportunity to tell you thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your beautiful thoughts, for your comments, for everything that you guys share with us. We so appreciate it, and we love you. We truly love you guys. So now, the reason why we came on live is because over the past hours and days, the developments around the freedom movement in Canada and Ottawa have kind of catapulted into a new dimension with lots of state of emergency. Then judges have come out. They started with confiscations of fuel and food. Then they put out orders to remove trucks from bridges. They shut down the second fundraiser on Give Send Go. The way now I think they have basically put a ban on paying it out. That was from the legal system. And so there's a number of things going on. There's rumors about the military, all of that. I mean, we don't really want to speculate too much on that. It's really the principle behind this that we want to talk about because this is important. Number one, Christine and I have done this in other forms for now over 15 years, and we have seen the same reaction over and over by governments. And I'm not here to bash them because we need to pass this point. But I want to say something. Governments, as organizations, first of all, they're not independent. They answer to someone, and it's not we the people. I know this is it sounds conspiratorial to many that still believe that governments answer to the people. They only answer to the people when the people finally start waking up and standing up. So that's kind of why we see this happening. And for those of you who don't know, Canada, especially in Ottawa right now, the truckers that have traveled 50, 60, 70, 80,000 truckers that have traveled to Ottawa in intervals are having a standoff with the government there. They are peaceful, they are helpful, they're actually contributing to the community there. They're cleaning up stuff. Everybody that's on the ground in Canada that's been there, that's visiting there, has said it's an amazing atmosphere of peace, of unity, of freedom, of love, of kindness, of appreciation. And so the media and the government are trying desperately to paint this movement as racist or violent, and it's always the same playbook. And we need to understand that we have to stop listening to the media, to the legacy media, the TV stations with the 3 or 4 letters on TV. We have to stop listening to the same puppets on TV that have been fear-mongering and perverting reality for decades now, but especially over the past 2 years. So why would you trust that now? But there's a principle for this. There's a reason why they're doing this. Governments, unfortunately, have emancipated themselves. They have lost the understanding of who is in charge, namely we the people. Everything that a government does, all its powers, it derives from the people, but they forgot that because now they answer to higher masters. They answer to capital, and ultimately they answer to a small group of people that assume power over everything. And so that's the reason why we see these reactions right now. That's the reason why people go to Canada and other places in the world, and they have these spiritual experiences at the protests where people come together and they connect heart to heart, and they know, everybody knows they're not there to create violence. They are there to simply stand in their power, stand in their truth, stand for freedom, right? That's what people are doing all over the world. Given what has taken place, and given what governments have done, it would even be understandable if people got angrier. But the beautiful thing is that the power of love overcomes the love of power right now. And so we're seeing this. So it's important to understand what the government is doing, or what the media is doing, is the only thing they can do. Because that's how they are programmed, that's how they're wired, that's what they think. They have emancipated themselves, and so they believe that they are actually in charge of telling people what to do. They're actually in charge of dictating, into the smallest areas of our lives now, and what we are and aren't allowed to do. And the people are finally saying enough is enough. This is not how this was supposed to be. This is not how this really works. And as a matter of fact, this is an open invitation, and I've heard this from so many groups around the world, an open invitation to those politicians who have gone into politics, good people with good hearts, who wanted to, affect positive change and do things differently, and that if somewhere got caught up in the system, or somewhere sold a little bit of their soul here and there, and so now they're in a position where they feel what's going on is very wrong, but they don't see a way out. And what we can do, this is so important now, we need to reach out. We need to stretch out our arms and hands and say, come on over, it's all okay, it's all gonna be okay, come on over here. This is the freedom movement, this is the Great Awakening movement. We're finally moving into a new stage of our human existence. Come on over. Let's stop this crap. Let's stop this game of manipulation, of power, of dictatorship, of tyranny. It's over. And if you do this, if you can do it mainly in your heart, you will see that people will begin to come over. When we first started doing this, when we first kind of flipped the switch in our heads, that it's not about fighting them, but actually about opening our hearts and saying, listen, there's a better way, we saw amazing results. And it was first in a very small, very, very small numbers that people started coming over. But now, compared to 15 years ago, so many politicians have come over. So many people in high positions of private companies and big corporations have come over. Of science, religion, it's such a big movement. And while these things are appalling, and it's horrible to see that there are still judges, and there are still police chiefs, and still people in positions of assumed power that are fighting freedom-loving, good people so hard, we at the same time need to understand that it's the system protecting itself from complete destruction. And the system is about to be completely destroyed because it was not really intended for the people. And when I say destroyed, I'm not talking about physical, violent destruction. I'm talking about an implosion, an energetic implosion, because we are withdrawing our energy. And how are we doing this? Because we stop complying. We stop participating, as David Icke always says, participating in our own enslavement, or Max Egan. And because we're doing this in greater and greater numbers, we're withdrawing the energy from the system, and the system is holding on to dear life. It's the cornered rat syndrome. So they're now sitting in the corner. They're scared. They're fearful because they think their time is over, and they're right. But here's the thing. We don't need to create any kind of violence for this to happen. As a matter of fact, the more we stay in a loving space, and I know sometimes it's hard, in the face of injustice, in the face of abuse, it's very, very hard to stay in your heart space. But when you can actually do it, you affect much greater change in a much shorter period of time. And I've had this experience, we've had this experience many times when we were confronted with law enforcement, when we were confronted with judges, or we were confronted with some sort of legal game. When we stayed in our heart space, they cannot win there. They can just join you or they can walk away. That's a game they don't know how to play because it isn't really a game. So you invite them in this authentic space, and more often than not, people will actually join you there. It's a really powerful thing, and you can't really logically explain it because it's happening more on a heart level. And so what will happen over the next days? The rhetoric will go up, the temperature will go up, but the politicians will scream louder, the police will scream louder, and they will put on a big show because they want to make you believe that force can stop this, violence can stop this. But the thing is, it's a movement that comes from the heart. People have opened up their hearts, they have allowed themselves to realize their own power again, and that's why this movement is so powerful. That's why this was so contagious. That's why these images, the videos from the truckers driving across Canada have reached so many hearts and souls around the world, because we could all feel the authenticity. And I don't care how many people come out and say this is controlled opposition, George Soros is behind it. Forget all that, because I'm talking about the hearts of the real people standing on the side of the road, waving their flags, honking their horns, and standing up for what they truly believe in, for what they love. You can't buy that. You cannot buy that. And these people have tried, and they try to manipulate, but it's not working because it's an authentic movement. It's what we've said for such a long time now. This is the greatest alliance in human history. It's the Alliance for Freedom. You will not hear us call for violence, and you will not hear these truckers go out and become violent, because that's not who they are. That's not what they believe in. They simply want to show that they are sovereign, free human beings who are not asking for freedom. They're not asking for their rights. They're showing what their rights are. They're God-given birthrights. No one's asking for anything. This is not about asking. This is about balancing out this power structure again, where the government and the people in government finally realize that they're not an emancipated class. They're not above anyone. Their power derives from the people. That's where it comes from. And this is what's happening, not just in Canada. It's happening in Europe. It's happening in Australia. It's happening here in the United States. And in New Zealand, it's happening all over the place. There's African, it's really, really a global movement. But the thing is, in order for this to stay an authentic, free, unified movement, all you need to do is stay in your heart. All you need to do is know what is right and then do what is right. That's all that you need to do. Then you can never be manipulated. You can never be bought, and all the George Soroses and Bill Gateses with all their money and all their influence, they cannot touch you. They cannot get a hold of you or talk you into doing anything but what you know to be right. And this is what this is really about. This is an educational moment for all of us, so we can stay in our hearts. Man, this is so powerful. Kristin and I have shared and hinted at this, but we've had many, many experiences where there was no logical way to get out of. Not because we had broken the law or anything, but because we did not comply. We did not comply with a system that wanted us to enslave ourselves or to agree to some sort of enslavement. And because we stayed in our hearts, and because love and respect and freedom, that's what we were putting out, all these situations dissolved themselves, and it's always turned out to be really good for us and to the benefit of all. So this is the moment where we need to overcome any fear that's still there. Fear of prosecution, fear of being arrested or having any negative side effects. Listen, we're past this point. The past 2 years have shown us that these people, these small but very sinister groups, are willing to do all of it, and they're not shying back from it. And they're willing to manipulate the whole world for this. So how we can counter this is really by being in a loving space in our hearts and simply saying yes to freedom, yes to sovereignty, yes to unity, yes to kindness, and absolutely stand our ground. There's got to be a line in the sand, and that line's here, and we got to stand our ground, but not with violence, but with actual affirmation of what we stand for. This is what gives the power. And this is what allows all the others that are still in fear to join us. We say, hey, we know you might have been on the wrong side of this. You might have, gone along with all of this. You might have been hypnotized. But I can see you're waking up. Why don't you come over here? Why don't you join the camp that is for peace, love, harmony, freedom, unity? And why don't you just come over here? This is what we need to do now with our hearts. We've passed the point of everything else, and this is so powerful, this moment. And this is what needs to happen, not just in Canada. And every day I meditate, I pray in this energy for the wonderful people in Ottawa and all around Canada, because I have full faith that they will not let up and they will not leave. But what's really even more important is how they stay. Because what these forces want to do now is provoke them into violence, make them angry, make them desperate, try to set traps so they do something stupid out of a human reaction for survival. And so it's so important that we come together, that we every day in our meditations, in our prayers, stay in this place of love so we can finally overcome this division game and this fight game, and actually see that for the greatest benefit of all, it's for the greatest benefit of all that we come together in this energy, that we put this out. And keep in mind, children are watching, the next generation is watching, and they have the chance to become the witnesses of the first true harmonious and peaceful revolution in history. It's not a violent takeover, it is actually a affirmation of true human rights, the natural human rights. This is the moment that we're in. And so please, turn off the news, turn off the TV, stop listening. These are acts of desperation. This is the cornered rat syndrome. And we should not give them more attention than necessary, and actually rather send love. I understand, don't get me wrong. I know some of these people are really, really, really horrible people. But still, if you send out hate, where does that hate originate? It originates in you, in your heart. And who suffers from that hate first and foremost? It's you. It's you who suffers from that hate. Because the other person, the recipient, they might not even know how you feel about them. But you feel that inside of you. And it's not a moment in our human history where we can need this. We don't need the hate and the anger. It's really just holding us back. What we need is steadfastness, and what we need is standing in our true power. It's way more powerful. So keep the space of love alive in your heart, in your soul, and help others to do so, and receive help from others to do so. It's really important right now. This is the game changer. If we can maintain this, imagine, in your head, close your eyes and just imagine a chain of hundreds of millions of people holding hands. This is a symbolic figure across the oceans, across the waters, across the prairies, and across the mountains. We're all holding hands for one cause, the cause of freedom. And we're doing this with loving hearts. Imagine how the power of love is flowing through us, hand to hand to hand to hand. All you warriors out there, all you soldiers out there, everyone out there, no matter where you come from, you can do this. We can all do this. And this will soften the hearts of those who are still undecided in law enforcement, in the military, and they will feel this. If we can maintain this presence of peace and unity and love and kindness and freedom, then it's over. It's game over for this old division game. It's game over for this tyranny, and it's the beginning of something new. This is the powerful moment that we're in. And when we are faced with negative news, come back to this. Remind yourself over and over and over again. Practice it. Talk to others about it. And resist the urge to engage too much in this ping pong game that they want to play with you. They want you to do that. They want you to get angry. They want you to get really upset. And you can get upset and angry in the moment as long as this anger leads to this even stronger conviction that you're not going to give up an inch, because it is your freedom, it is your right to be here. It's your right, your birthright to be free. It's your birthright to be empowered sovereign. It's your birthright. You don't have to ask for it. No government has to give it to you. No document gives it to you. No constitution gives it to you. They can simply document it, but they're not giving it to you. And this is important to everyone, no matter where you are. The momentum is here, feeded with love, feeded with conviction, and feeded with beautiful meditation and prayer every day. This momentum has the potential to change the course of history. It's happening now. And remember, our children are watching. We can teach them. We can teach the next generations something new, something better. That's the powerful potential that we have right now, tribe. Beautiful, inspired tribe. That was the message that just came through. I really wanted to go live and share this with you. I'm going to go through all the comments now. But keep this alive. Keep this in your hearts. And we'll come back with also practical updates of what's happening in Ottawa. They're very, very busy right now, so I hope we can jump on a call with one of the organizers tomorrow and get some info from the ground. But really, I don't know if I can convey this in the right words, but this power from here, from the heart, it overcomes all obstacles in the physical world. It can literally melt down chains, and it can tear down walls without violence. I've seen this over and over and over again. When the powerful momentum has arrived, then this can happen. And so we need to understand that we're really working with a higher power that is invisible to the physical eye, and that is way beyond what is happening on this low level of ping pong that the government and the media and they want you to be in. It's happening on a higher level. I've seen this in many faces of the truckers, of the people on the ground. I've heard it in their voices. I've seen it in their eyes. They understand this is a spiritual moment for humanity. And so we need to feed it and keep it going the right way. All right, tribe, thank you for tuning in. We love you all very, very much. Thank you for your beautiful emails and messages. We'll be back with a regular live stream on Monday. And until then, probably coming back with some updates in between. But until then, please be loving, be kind, stand in your power, stand in your truth, and stand for freedom. Love you all. Talk to you soon.